You're listening to IWW Radio coming to you from the Big O, Aurelia, Ontario this week. And in the house today we have Amanda Shaw from the UK, United Kingdom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
We wanted to touch on the base of the shows that are happening now, of all, can we say, clones of the original, some that have, or can we say some that have are no longer on the market, and some that are still on the market. And Amanda, what do you think of this? Can we say cover idea by a lot of cover bands now are representing? It may be the Beatles. How many Beatle tribute acts are there? How many, other acts? There's Genesis, there's other ones. And what do you think of all that?
Yeah, I think that in a lot of ways it's great that there are a lot of people doing music and, keeping the music alive, which is great, at a time when I think it's been a real struggle for original music to kind of maintain itself. I think that with originals, it's been a real fight to try and keep our originals venues and things. Some of the most kind of amazing venues we have that have had sort of some very notable bands go into them. Bands that many of us have aspired to be when we were younger and things like that, and followed for many years. The venues that they started out in, the grassroots venues, are struggling a lot at the moment, and I think that's in a sense like the conversation that I think isn't being had enough. It's certainly being had, the conversation, but I don't know how much. I think it needs a lot more talking about, basically. And then, when I sort of think about tribute acts and things, something that I feel is that it's kind of just it's almost like it's going round and round and round in a circle at the moment. It feels like there isn't, it looks like, to me, there's like this trajectory of original music just kind of like being pushed out. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm really struggling with at the moment. I'm finding that difficult to accept that. So, to me, it was like, it became this kind of conversation about, with a lot of people I was talking to, about how can we actually get originals music on the tributes nights as well, and would it work? Would it work with that? There were a few people I spoke to that sort of run tribute nights, and they'd said to me, actually, I think this is a great idea. Even if we just do one song in the middle of a tribute night that's original, that fits in with the material, actually, it could work. And then it's something that's kind of keeping it alive. It's representing it. And it's kind of the tributes act saying, you know what, we appreciate originals music as well. And we understand the importance of it. Because wouldn't it be it would just be an absolute, I don't know what to say really. It would just be awful if actually we didn't have, originals music anymore. You know, can you imagine? Can you imagine a world without originals music?
Yeah, I don't think it would go that way, but you know what? It does enter the back of my head on that type of issue that, have we became a society of cover? And where's the thought and the originality? And I feel, and I'm talking about seasoned guys, okay? These guys have played these, covers for years, and they're really good at it. They're great musicians for that aspect. But I feel that what's happening is that we're lacking in the thing of creating our own things. And I look at it this way: is that, look, you've played those riffs for so long and you're really good at it, then why can't you sit down, create something from those riffs? And as they say, and Rod Stewart said years ago, that nothing's original anymore. But anyway, besides that, but, I mean, create something that is taken from those riffs and make your own thing and produce it and bring it out. And yes, it is happening, but I don't think it's happening a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel that the originality that was there before is there as much as it needs to be. I mean, you only have to kind of go on to certain, and I'm not going to name any names, social media platforms to sort of see that, people are just sort of creating like a 30-second clip of a song. A lot of the time it will be a cover.
Mm-hmm.
And that people's attention spans have gone down to only being able to accept watching a 30-second clip.
Well, that's why I went to a 15-minute format on the show, for the simple reason is that, nobody's got, I feel, maybe I'm a little off on it, but I've been doing this for the last 6 years, but what I do find is the extension, the mindset is not there to sit there and listen to me for an hour.
Yeah, but it does kind of go to show to me that there's certain, I think we've been possibly, through social media, pushed in a direction which means that we have less of an attention span, which is pushing these, I feel like it's pushing some of these things out, in the sense that it's almost like people are kind of just wanting to have the same thing over and over and over, rather than wanting to kind of I suppose, like really wanting the originality, really wanting the, it's because it's consuming it. It's kind of like consuming it really quickly. So it's kind of saying, right, okay, I really want to hear something new right now. So does that then give us the space to be able to create? Does it give us the space to be able, and the time to be able to absorb, to reflect ideas, to, and as an original musician, one of the things that is very healing about being an original musician is the fact that you could go through, perhaps a difficult situation in your life, for example.
Yeah.
And you're reflecting upon it, and you're taking the time to write that song, and you're going to, you're not just going to try and get it out there within 2 seconds flat. It just feels like that is being pushed to the side. Our need for reflection, our need to express ourselves, so then that for me brings about a question about mental health as well, for people, and because I've seen so many artists that feel that music has helped their mental health. Certainly there's artists out there that people that people love, and they just kind of follow that artist and things that they've been through, and that helps them in another way as well. But there's also this side where it's like it's original music, and it's kind of like expressing your own feelings and your own thoughts, and you think to yourself, if that gets pushed out, that's a side to expression that we're now missing. We're now kind of not able to. You think, also, I suppose, having been involved a lot in community music projects as well, I've seen sort of, young people, for example, finding music to be such a great healing tool for them, and certainly, it can be just such a great form of just processing, difficult things. So yeah, I think there's a bigger conversation to be had when it comes to this feeling of this almost circular thing of kind of like going around the same things, and sort of it feels, for me, I guess it feels a little bit like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing going round and round and round. I've seen this with movies as well. There was a time in the not so distant past where it was like movies were just being recycled. It was the same things, just like, and it was the film version. And so that, yeah. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but yeah,
well,
that's where I'm going with this.
It's like when I recorded that Live It Up tune at age 16, I remember distinctly when I was trying to come up with something with my partner Ed at the time, Ed Roth, is that I knew that original, and I said that to myself, original is where it's at. Because as you know, with some of the classical stuff that I have composed, my inner feelings, my inner compassion has gone into those tunes and come out musically. And I feel that if a lot of other musicians would look at that, and I'm saying classical because, we have to draw this stuff out. It has to have mood. It has to have compassion. It has to have flow. It has to have, brilliant pieces coming in and out. And, that's good for me. But for the other musician that may be writing commercially, contemporary or whatever they're doing, it's just an expression, a deep feeling that you get when you do this, that it just comes across like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? And until you experience it, you'll never happen. And what makes me think is, the musicians, are you scared? Are you scared of trying this or feeling this or whatever? And yes, I do have my old favorite tunes and stuff that I love to do and bring back and all that, and you know what I mean, because they were part of my growing to where I am today. So that's how I look at that. But to get into a cover band and again, or playing ABBA or whatever it may be, I don't know. I don't know if I could handle that 6 nights a week.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a place for both, but I wouldn't want one to take over from the other, if that makes sense. I feel like, I've been to see tribute bands, and I think some of them are fantastic, So I'm certainly not taking that away from them. I think it's great what they're doing.
No, we're not. Yeah.
So, but it's just, I feel there's a place for both, and I also feel that, it's time that we stood up for, I guess kind of all the facets to music, to the music industry.
Yeah.
Because it is a multifaceted, multi-layered thing. It's not, one thing feeds into another. And so it makes sense to me that we would all work together, as opposed to just this sense of everything kind of pooling into one side of it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I want to thank you for being on the show, and our listeners out there. If anybody's got any say in this, say something. In the comments section on Facebook, how you feel about this. I know, to me, I just feel it's gone a little bit. Is it for the money or whatever? But I want to thank you for being on the show today, Amanda.
Thank you.
And we'll touch base as soon as possible.
Perfect. Sounds cool.
You're listening to IWW Radio, your network station.